Welcome back, Padawans, to episode 56 of the JMR podcast. I'm your host, Jelani, and today we are going to be discussing all things Xbox and Ubisoft Showcase, or all things that were announced at the showcases. So I didn't get a chance to watch the Summer Games Showcase, unfortunately, but I definitely made sure to hit the Xbox Showcase and the Ubisoft one. Ubisoft one because there was something at the tail end of the Xbox one. I don't even think it was tail end. Honestly, I feel like it was at the middle of it. But something in the Xbox Showcase that made me have to pull up for the Ubisoft one. We'll be getting into that when we get to the Ubisoft Showcase. However, let us first touch on the Xbox Showcases. That one is the one that launched first anyways, the first one that I watched. So let's start there. And there, again, as we did this last time for the PlayStation Showcase, there's not going to be a huge or a rhyme or reason, not going to be a real order of things here. We are just going to be just off the heart, just basing this off of the heart here, all right? So basically things that really piqued my interest are going to be at the bottom, and then stuff that kind of was like, I might check it out. Those are going to be more what we're going to talk about first, all right? So the first thing that I have on the list here is Payday 3. Now, Payday 3 is interesting, because I had no idea that we were going to be getting another one. You know, did I think that we needed a third installment in the Payday series? I mean, I would say no, you know, because in the grand scheme of things, I don't think Payday 2 really did all that much. Now, I'm saying that as somebody who wasn't a big fan of Payday, so maybe it didn't do much for me, but there might have been a following. Might have. That doesn't sound right. It sounds like there was a following if they decided to come out with a third installment of this, right? So everything I saw here looked very interesting. You know what I mean? They're adding more mechanics to the game that seem like it could potentially make it a little bit more fun. You might have more options at gameplay. The reason that I kind of fell off of 2, it just, you know, I'm a single player gamer at heart, realistically. I don't like playing multiplayer games if I don't have to. So, you know, I went into Payday 2 thinking that I could have a single player experience in this like heist kind of game, because I was interested in the genre of just, you know, going in and like kind of doing a heist. You know, I liked that idea. But, and I think I played it after GTA 5, which would have been why I had that, you know, that thought of like, man, that would be cool, a game centered around this. But again, multiplayer game where you have to work and coordinate things, and it just didn't work for me. But glad to see that we're getting a third installment. I may check it out, but I also don't know. I don't know. We'll see how I feel whenever it drops. You know what I'm saying? But next game on the list, we've got Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024. Now, I would never have expected. You could have told me 2 years ago, Jelani, you know you're going to be talking about Microsoft Flight Simulator in, you know, on a podcast, realistically, because 2 years ago I didn't have a podcast. So no, you could have told me that 2 years ago and I would have laughed in your face. But here we are in June 14th and we're doing exactly that. But Microsoft Flight Simulator is one of those games that kind of, number one, it shows off exactly what the Xbox Series X has to offer and what it can bring to the table for, you know, game developers, for gamers as a whole. It's just such a beautiful game, realistically. You know what I mean? Like everything that you see, all of the different places that you can go, they really feel like a tangible place, you know? And it's interesting that I would even bring this up. I was not a huge fan of the one that launched on the Xbox, just because, you know, it wasn't for me. You know, I'm not a huge simulator person as a whole. I don't like racing sims. I don't like, you know, just everyday sims. I don't like survival sims. I don't really like sims. I do like working sims, and I don't know why. It's very concerning. I don't understand it. It's also like I don't understand why I love the food service industry and why I love, you know, being in customer service. Don't understand it. I don't get it, but I feel complete whenever I go to my job and I do, and we're getting into the thick of things. You know what I mean? I can't explain to you why. Either way, I digress. My point is, I can't explain to you why I like things like Power Wash Simulator, or things like, I don't even remember what this game was called. Gosh darn it. It's something paradise. But either way, it's laundromat paradise. It's either way, you're a laundromat. It's a laundromat simulator. I love that game. It's fantastic. But my point is, there are some simulators I like, but most of them that revolve around, like, you know, flying, racing, stuff like that, survival, again, not really my cup of tea in the grand scheme of things. I'm sticking more towards working simulators, unfortunately. But Flight Simulator, with the additions that they're adding in 2024 here, we're getting jobs now. And that changes things for me, because it changes it from a simulation of just, you know, trying to fly a plane simulator, to Well, now you have a task at hand. Now, you can make tasks in the game as you go on in 20 or in the previous iteration, but these are legitimate jobs that you have. So, yes, you are still going to have the sim part of it where you have to know how to fly these aerial crafts, but you have a job to do. So it's an extra added, aspect to the gameplay that may gravitate towards me. I don't know. We will have to wait when this launches, and I will see if I could actually hop back in here. But let's touch on one more game that is known, and then we'll start getting into the other things that are not known, that were kind of very much announced at this showcase that piqued my interest. So, Senua's Saga 2. That's where we're at right now. And, I don't have much to say on this game. I really do look forward to it. I'm currently in the middle of a playthrough of the first game, so that's kind of what I am tempering my expectation to. However I feel about Senua's Saga 1 is how I'm going to dictate, if I want to be, super hyped and super anticipated for her second story, or if that's one that I kind of get to whenever I have the time. That's kind of where I'm sitting at with Senua's Saga. The first trailer that I saw, I really did like it. It did captivate me in a really big way that I wasn't expecting it to. The trailer that they showed here didn't really do that for me. So that's kind of why I'm like, let's play through the entire first game and then see where I land and how my feelings are towards it. But let's move on to the next game, guys. So we have Still Wakes the Deep. Now, this game looks unsettling, to say the least. It's setting it on an oil rig, and I would assume that it's a horror game based on what we saw and all of the screams in the trailer. But I have to say, this game looks interesting. It has intrigued me. And I'm not the biggest horror fan, not the biggest fan of horror at all. I've talked about on the podcast previously, Dead Space Remake is something that I've just now started trying to get into. And that's one that I can do, but also, I don't know if I want to all the time. You know what I'm saying? Like right now I'm in the mode, I'm like, I could get done with this show. I'm like, you want to play some Dead Space? I could pass tonight. I gotta play some Fortnite. Anyway, so I am still gonna keep my eye on this one because this looks intriguing. I haven't seen a game set on an oil rig before. That's already a cool setting to me, and then the fact that you're stuck on this oil rig with something and you don't know what it is. That's the part that I'm like, but what is it? Because I kind of want to know. Even if I know I'm gonna be scared, finding out what is on that rig is more intriguing than the fear that's going to come with finding that out, if you catch my drift. So that's kind of where I'm sitting at with that. But next game that we have on the list here is Dungeons of Hinterberg. Dungeons of Hinterberg. Now, this game looked fantastic. I saw this game and my mouth dropped. This is the first game in the showcase. Well, I don't know if it's the first one because I don't know where this one landed in the showcase or not. But I know my mouth dropped when this game came on because I'm seeing the gameplay and I'm like, okay, cool art style, whatever. We've seen games that look similar to this in the past. And then you start to actually see it. And as the character is moving, it's like the world behind them is moving at a different pace than they are. And it looked like a storybook. And that's what I remember thinking to myself. And then pages started to flip. And that's the exact premise that it's supposed to be. They nailed it. They nailed it with this. So basically every area that you're in, it basically is a snapshot of a picture. And that is kind of where the little level is that you're going to be playing on. It's consolidated into that one little area, that one area where the picture is taken. And it could be multiple different things. You can have a top-down view, you can have a isometric view, a third-person view. It changes the formula up. So there's a lot of variety to the gameplay here, at least from what we've seen, the small little bit that we saw of it. So I am very much looking forward to this game. I'm hoping that it does gravitate towards me, that it does get its hooks in me, because it looks like something that I would really like and I'd really get down with. I love colorful anything realistically, but colorful games with a great art style, and especially with that storybook-like kind of feeling to it, I'm all in. I want to hear more about it. I want to see what this game has to offer. But let's move over to the next game here, and we've got Jusant. Now, Jusant looks like everything that I loved from Uncharted, from from Tomb Raider, and from the recently Jedi Survivor and Jedi Fallen Order. These games all have this climbing mechanic, and I love it. I love traversing the world, climbing on the different, environments that they've given to me, finding the little handholds that you have. I love in Uncharted 4 how you can move your right stick, and that is basically Nathan's arm as you're kind of trying to find the next handhold. I love that. I love that. It's fantastic. And it's one thing that just makes the climbing aspect of the game that much more enjoyable. And seeing this game, it feels like a whole game that's just based on that. It's just based on you climbing around and traversing the world. And that is something that I can get behind. If you're telling me that's the main point of this, that means that there's a focus on climbing. And from the different things that we've seen, there are different formations that you're climbing, different ways that you're climbing. You're going to have to use some rope. You're going to have to kind of, use the rope to rappel yourself. You're going to have to find handholds, find different like ladders that are, I guess, attached to the side of the mountain side. I don't know. It looked like there are legit handholds that somebody put in there, like metal ones. But either way, different kinds of climbing that you can do in this game, but all with the goal of traversing and making it through that story. And I'm very, very excited for this. I'm very excited that, number one, I believe this one's coming out later this fall, so that's awesome. And it's coming to Game Pass day one. So I definitely will be keeping that on my radar, and I will be playing that one day one as soon as it drops, because it looks very interesting. And then you've got this little companion on your back too, and I was wondering, I'm like, well, if you've got a companion, there's got to be a reason for him, right? And sure enough, there is. It looks like he can make different, like fauna on the sides of these mountaintops that you're climbing grow. And when they grow, you can use those as handholds. So there is an aspect to having that companion to help you get further and further along. I love it. Everything about this game looks fantastic. I cannot wait for Jusan. All right, next game we've got here. Now, this one is not coming until we don't even know realistically. All we got was coming in due time. And if you watch the Xbox showcase, you know exactly what game I'm talking about. It is Clockwork Revolution. So this is I believe it's a first person. I want to say it's first person shooter game where it seems as though you have some kind of time manipulation mechanic involved in the combat. It makes this game looks unbelievable. Looks like something we have never seen before. And the only thing that would come close is the one mission from Titanfall where you're shifting between the different time periods. But again, that's shifting between them. You are physically changing things in the world that you're in right before your eyes. So, look, if everything we saw is how gameplay is going to work out in this game, we are in for a good time. And this is the kind of innovation that I want to see in my first-person shooter games. I'm tired of the standard COD games. I'm tired of the small, not even 5-hour campaigns of COD games these days. We know that Call of Duty, them at Activision, they're not really worried about the single-player aspect of Call of Duty anymore. That's just apparent. I mean, when they launched, I believe it was, Black Ops 4? I think it was Black Ops 4 that came out without a story mode. So it's like, you've shown your true colors. You don't care about the story mode. I get it. That's fine. It's not where your money's at. It's not where, you're going to be getting all of these players to stay with the game. But that's what I cared about for Call of Duty. So, all right, fine. They're getting away from it. There are other developers out there. Let me see some other first-person shooter ideas. This looks like a fantastic idea. I cannot wait for Clockwork Revolution. All right, guys. So now, we're at the bottom 3 on the Xbox Showcase. And again, one of them is shared with Ubisoft. We will not be talking about it in the Xbox side of things. We will be talking about that at the very, very end. And you know why? You know why. If you know me, you know why. Anyway, Fable is the next game that we're going to be discussing here. Fable looks good. Fable looks real good. I was not expecting... Again, we're getting to the point of this showcase, at least these games specifically here, these last 3, where these were games that were promised to us when the Xbox was launching, all right? The Series X was launching and the Series S. When we were getting on the run-up to the 9th generation of consoles in 2020, these games were announced, and these are what sold, at least me, on getting an Xbox. And Fable is one of those, because I never got to experience Fable. Never did. I've tried to go back. Actually, I think I recently tried to go back on the Steam Deck, because I think I got Fable on the Steam Deck. it's rough, guys. I'm sorry. It's real rough. Real rough. So I could not I played it for maybe 20 minutes and I was like, no, I don't want to play this any longer than this. So knowing that they're coming out with this one for a new generation of gamers, people who may have missed it like myself, newcomers to who are, 16 years old right now, who have never even heard of Fable, realistically, they can now jump into this. Very excited for this. Now again, when on the run up to launch, we only got a teaser trailer. We only saw a little fairy fly through the screen, and that was it. And I think she got eaten by a frog. I think that was how it ended. And you're like, all right, the humor is still here. At least that's what everybody else said. Because again, I don't know what the humor is. But I've heard, okay, that says humor is still there. From what I've seen from this, people talking about this online about the humor from what we saw from the showcase, yes, humor is still very much there. Very much a Fable-esque way of going about telling the story and, handing or feeding you those jokes in that comedy. But very surprised with the character models that we saw here on display. Because, again, only seeing a CGI trailer, not much to go off of. This is the first tangible thing that we've gotten to see on this game. And we still really didn't see it. We really just got to see what the world looks like, how the world is going to kind of react to things. I will say, did not expect the dude who was narrating at the beginning to be a giant. That was pretty freaking cool. But all in all, this sold me on Fable. Like, I am all behind whatever this team is doing. I believe it's Playground Games. Whatever they're doing, I am very much behind them, and I can't wait to see more of Fable. But this is definitely a day one for me, for sure, for sure. This, again, solidifies the reason that I got this Xbox sitting over here. I might not be playing it that much these days, but I know that there are going to be games coming down the pipeline that I am going to be heavily getting into, as we're discussing right now. Next game, Avowed. Now, Avowed, again, another one of these games that we just got a CGI trailer. It was a little bit more in depth than the Fable trailer. We got to see an arrow kind of follow through the entire way as it's going to hit its target through the sky. And then you kind of see that it is a first-person game. You have magical abilities that you can use. The game looks good. I am very excited. I wasn't expecting the story to kind of go the way that it seems like it is. And again, I don't know exactly where the story is going, but I just wasn't expecting it to be set up the way that it has been, I was expecting it to be more, I don't know, more in line with what a Skyrim would be, I guess. And again, that's because this is their Skyrim rival. That's what they're trying to do here. They're trying to rival Skyrim, even though they're all under the same company now. That's how I kind of view it. And again, are they trying to rival them per se? Probably not. Are they internally saying that? I doubt it, but they are inspired by Skyrim, to say the least, to say the very least. So I would say that, yeah, in my mind, that's the only game I have to go off of that fits into Avowed. So that's kind of what I was basing it off of, but it feels like it's a little bit more of an in-depth story, like your character is going to actually matter in the story. And not saying that your character didn't matter in Skyrim, but it's kind of a faceless character. And again, it could just be for the times, but this character that you're playing as, I want to say that he is voiced, so it's not like your created character, if I'm not mistaken. I could very well be, but I felt like it was a tangible person, that you're playing as, and he has goals and aspirations, or they. So, because I don't know, female, male, I don't know. I really don't remember this. I watched this one a couple days ago. My memory is not the best, guys. You will come to find this out as you come on this journey with me. Anyway, let's keep on trucking to the last game shown off at the Xbox Showcase. At least last game that's concerning me. And that is Starfield, baby. Starfield looking real nice. It's looking real nice, okay? So look, I'm just going to say this. Yeah, we were all upset that it got delayed. I get it. We didn't want to see it delayed. We wanted to see this game come out in all of its fruition, in all of its glory. But unfortunately, we didn't get that. They had to delay it. Why? Because it didn't look that good. And to be honest, that's kind of true. It's kind of true. And you want to know how I know it's true? Because it looks way better from what we saw in this showcase to what we saw a year ago at the showcase. Looks 10 times better. I don't know what was up with where the game was, But they needed that time. And I love seeing these developers, even though we just talked at the top. The game we're talking about at the end of Ubisoft, I don't want to see it delayed. But at the same time, if it needs to be delayed, it needs to be delayed. It is what it is. It is what it is. But this is why. You can see how Starfield has benefited from that delay. You know what I mean? They have been able to turn this game around, able to get the messaging on this game down to where they can come out and have a whole 45-minute segment just talking about this game, just talking about it. Now, I only watched half of the actual Starfield Direct. We're going to keep this more to what we saw in the actual Xbox showcase itself. But I do need to go back and watch that Direct because I'm telling you, aside from, again, the last game we're going to be talking about from Ubisoft, this game looks like it's everything I've wanted from a space RPG game. You know what I mean? The combat in this looks fast and fluid. It looks fun. Looks very, very fun to actually play and get in there. Because I think it was this one where, yeah, you're using the atmosphere to your advantage because you're traveling to different planets. They were saying how you can go to these different, like, you can be on a planet and then you see the planet's moon in the horizon, like, you know, coming up over the horizon. Todd was like, hey, you can go to that moon. You can just go there. And then when you get there, the light is procedurally generated based on the nature of that planet. So based on like the atmosphere, what kind of terrain there is, the lighting is going to be different and it's going to hit it different based on like smoke that's on the ground or dust or whatever. Oh my gosh. This game looks phenomenal. And the fact that it's so big, 1,000 planets. 1,000 planets. Are you serious? I just can't wait. Now, again, people are saying, or they were saying last year, I don't know if they're really saying it now, that Starfield just feels like No Man's Sky. And again, yeah, it does feel like No Man's Sky to an extent. It feels like it when you're thinking of like, you know, you're having to get materials and stuff like that. But does it really, or is it really a No Man's Sky clone just because you get materials in a similar fashion? You're not using those materials in the same way. You're not doing the same thing beat by beat. You're not doing the same thing beat by beat in Starfield that you are in No Man's Sky. So I don't really see it being a clone. And I really didn't see it as a clone when I heard that last year either. I didn't understand that mindset there. But all in all, Starfield looks fantastic. Fantastic. And doesn't it come out in September? I think it comes out in September. And I cannot wait. I cannot wait. The Starfield, I feel, will kick off the renaissance of Xbox and getting their footing again, you know, where we're going to actually start to see them put out some big hitters. You know, they talked about, and again, we didn't talk about it here, but they talked about Forza Motorsport in here. That's another big hitter for them. So if they can knock these out, like I'm saying, Starfield, Avowed, Fable, Forza Motorsport, if they can knock all those out of the park as they're landing, bro, they're going to gain a lot of traction, and it's good for them. It's fantastic. It sucks to see that I haven't played my Xbox, you know, in a number of months. It really does. I have Life of P, the demo on there. I might try to play that a little bit tonight, honestly, just because I really do want to play it. I want to see kind of what that game is. It intrigued me ever since I heard it. But like, just to jump in there for a demo, I want to jump in there for these bigger titles. So I'm very happy that they're about to start knocking these out of the park. Hopefully, again, because we don't know how they're going to land. But from what I've seen of Starfield, I feel like that's going to land no problem. No problem. And here's a secret, I have it on my fantasy draft, baby. Let's go. You already know that's a 97. That's a 97 right there. Everybody on the trophy room, if you're listening, I'm getting a 97 for Starfield. Don't take that away from me because I need those points, okay? All right, so let's transition. Let's move over to the Ubisoft Forward Showcase. And I want to start with Assassin's Creed Nexus, all right? VR title. Now, it's not just a VR title. That's the thing. So they show this off, and they show guy putting on his meta quest, and then they show him. All right, well, first he was, I think he was Ezio first, and then he was Cassandra from Odyssey, and then they just kept changing him out with different people. I want to say he might have been one of the fries from Syndicate after that, but either way, he was 3 different assassins that we know already, that we've played as for years at this point. And seeing that, I'm like, okay, you're telling me we get to play as all of these characters. How are we doing it? Are we playing through their games again in the VR? Is it just certain missions that we're playing as them and their quick missions? How is this going to work? There's a lot of questions that I have with Assassin's Creed Nexus, because there wasn't enough to go off of there. What we did get answered is, well, okay, we see what the Nexus was and what their idea of it was. It's a place for you to go where you can play all of your Assassin's Creed games. That's kind of what they were going at, but I don't think it was specified that it was going to be in VR. So that's cool that we're seeing, okay, that's how it's going to work. You're going to have a hub for all of these different missions or whatever to play as your favorite assassins in the VR headset, and then we're going to roll like that. But I will say, as long as we can see, I need to see some gameplay for it first to really base my judgment on it, but from just the idea of it, right? The idea of having all these different assassins that you can play as in a VR headset, I'm already intrigued. You've got color me intrigued, guys, because I don't know if, this is coming to the other headsets or not, but seeing that already made my head turning about, should I get a MetaQuest? Should I? Because again, the MetaQuest is wireless, and that's my biggest gripe about VR right now. I don't like the cords. I want a wireless headset. If I use my brother has a MetaQuest 2. That thing is nice. That thing's real nice, and that's just a 2. That's just a 2. But not being constrained to anything because it's wireless, that's a game changer. That's a game changer. So if I find out that Assassin's Creed is not coming in any other VR headset, and we see some more things on it, and it is a must-buy, I might have to get a MetaQuest. I might just have to do it. You never know. You never know. Well, we'll have to wait and see, guys. We will have to wait. But let's move over to the next 2 games. We're going to do this 1 and 2. 1, 2. Because these are both a part of Ubisoft's new mobile push. Pushing into the mobile market with their games. Now, again, they've already done that in the past. There is an Assassin's Creed game that is on mobile devices right now. I believe I even have it downloaded on my phone currently, or if I don't, I can easily get it downloaded on my phone. And it works with the controller setup too. If you have a Kishi or a backbone, you hook that up, it works flawlessly with it, with no problem at all. And I don't think that it specified that, so that was really cool to see when I finally re-downloaded it. Either way, I digress. My point is, Ubisoft has dipped their toes into the mobile market before, but they're doing it again, and it feels like they're doing it in more of a console-focused mindset. Because we're getting Assassin's Creed Jade and The Division Resurgence. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to be straight up. Be straight with you. I don't know if I blacked out during The Division Resurgence for the Ubisoft Forward, or if I was just not paying attention. I don't know. I don't remember this in the showcase at all. I had to see this when I went back to see the games that released, and I saw this on the list. I'm like, Division Resurgence? The heck is it? I'm like, oh, it's the mobile game. When did they show this? I don't remember that. But either way, I know we know about it. We've heard about this one before. I decided I wanted to put it in there anyway because I do want to talk about Assassin's Creed Jade. Now, Assassin's Creed Jade, again, not much to go off of, just like Nexus. Honestly, a little bit less than Nexus. But it is from what it looks like, and I would assume from how they're marketing it, a full-fledged, don't get me wrong, it's not going to be like a 40-hour experience here, but a decent, Assassin's Creed game for your phone. So the other Assassin's Creed game that I touched on earlier, that wasn't a legitimate Assassin's Creed game. You had missions that you would go on. You'd go into the open world, and then you would take out the targets, do whatever you're tasked to do, and then you'd bounce. That's how the game would work. But Jade feels like how you actually think of an Assassin's Creed game to work. You are an assassin, you're going to run over here, talk to this person, they're going to give you a mission, then you're going to run over here and talk to that person, go kill that person, and then you're going to come back and talk to the original one who gave you the mission, tell them it's done, and then you're good to go. That's kind of how I picture Assassin's Creed Jade working. And if that's the case, I'm all in. I am all in. I don't need, again, this is a mobile game. I don't need much to go off of for a mobile game. I was just thinking the other day, I'm like, I don't really play games on my phone anymore. Like those days have long passed. I don't waste my time doing that because, number one, if I'm outside of this house, I would rather be at this house playing a game on one of these consoles over here. That's number one. Number two, if I'm out of this house, I'm probably doing something out of this house, which means I'm not playing my games on my phone. So that's just how it works for me in my life. I just if I'm not doing something, I'm at the house. If I'm doing something, I'm doing something that is going to need my attention. Therefore, I'm not playing games on my phone. This is what it is. But I am still excited for Assassin's Creed Jade, especially since it seems like this is the only place you're going to be able to access this game. We're not going to be getting this on console, not going to be getting this anywhere else. So if this is the only way to access this and it's a legitimate story that actually holds up, heck yeah. Yeah. You best believe I'm going to be playing this game on my phone with that Razer Kishi over there. Or maybe the Backbone if I can get it before then. Anyway, let's move over to the Crew Motorfest. I did not know that they were making a third crew. Similarly to how I did not know they were making a Payday 3. I think I said Crew 2. I said third crew. Either way. I blew me away. As soon as it came, I was like, the Crew? What do you mean? And the fact that we are getting away from the United States. We're getting away from the continental U.S. And we're going to another state in the U.S., but that's not a part of the continent. We're going to Hawaii, baby. Woo! Going to Hawaii. What a cool freaking venue for a racing fest, right? In Hawaii, they've got all these different volcanoes and stuff that you can race into. It looks amazing. And I think they made this decision because they started to see that, okay, if we try to generate an entire United States, continental US, that's going to take a lot of computing power that we could maybe put making, a smaller area amazing. You know what I mean? Like if we just focus on one area, one place that has the similar locales and stuff like that, similar things that you are getting into. Again, Hawaii has the same trees, all that good stuff. So if they are trying to do that, that would be an easier development time than what it would be to do an entire country. Realistically, there's different, we've got Florida, we've got New York, we've got California, all the Midwest, like all different kinds of weather, all different kinds of environments that they'd have to account for. And they don't have to do that now. And I really, as I was watching that, I really felt that. I was like, I feel like they want to make this the best crew that it can be. And they felt like maybe doing another continental US is not the way to make that happen. But also the other aspect of it is that we've already seen that twice now. That was the gimmick of the first game. And don't get me wrong, that was a huge gimmick. This game, the first crew, I set it up for my father. I've talked about him before on the show. I set it up for my father. That man does not play video games. That man sat there and played this game for 2 hours just driving around the United States. He thought it was the coolest thing ever. And this is the first game, the first one. He loved it. Every single time he'd come back home and he'd see me playing something else, he's like, still got that game that you can drive around the entire US? I'm like, yeah. It's not downloaded. But anyway, awesome. Like again, a game that's getting non-gamers to come in. It was a gimmick. It was a gimmick that worked for it though. And I loved it. And then the Crew 2 happened. Same thing. Had the same gimmick, but they added the ability to fly planes and then the ability to drive boats. And then obviously still drive, your regular vehicles, but then switch between all three of those, land, air, or water, whenever you felt like it. Awesome. Awesome gimmick. Again, pushed it that much forward. Now we're here. And now we're like, okay, we're just going to have one fest on one secluded location. That way we can focus there and see what happens. And I'm all in. I'm all in for the Crew Motorfest. So let's see what the team can do. And we'll be waiting to see more for it whenever it comes out. All right. But next game we're going to be touching on. We're down to the top 3 here. Or at least top 3 for me at the Ubisoft Showcase. But we've got Assassin's Creed Mirage. Now, man, we talked about Assassin's Creed 3 different times here. This is the 3rd time. But my point is, at this point, you could probably understand that I am an Assassin's Creed fan. It's one of my favorite series as of right now. And it's probably because I played it for so long. You know, I got in at the ground level. I played the first game, played the second game, played Brotherhood, Revelations, played 3, Black Flag. Now, again, did I beat all of these games? No. Didn't beat 1. I beat 2. I beat Brotherhood. Didn't beat Revelations. But there are some of them that I have. You know, Brotherhood, no. Not Brotherhood, I'm sorry. 3, no. Black Flag, hell no. I was not a fan of Black Flag. Not a fan of Pirates or anything like that. But either way, my point is, I'm a connoisseur of Assassin's Creed games. I love these games. I love getting in there, playing in them, finding out the different environment, the different locale that we are in, because it's always different, and they always are trying to one-up themselves, and I love it. It's fantastic. This game, though, as we know, Assassin's Creed has been slowly moving into the RPG landscape, right? They were action games that were sprinkled with RPGs, and then they turned into full-fledged RPGs with starting with Origins. Now, Origins was a fantastic game. I loved it all the way through. Valhalla and Odyssey, too big, too bloated. Valhalla, even more so than Odyssey. Odyssey was good. I liked the story, but it just got too long in the tooth. Valhalla got too long in the tooth the first 3 hours of the game. So I legitimately, when I heard about Assassin's Creed Mirage, of them taking it back to its roots, I'm all in. My ears are perked. You've gotten me intrigued, and I'm all in immediately because I love the old mechanics of those earlier Assassin's Creed games. I don't know why. It just was very methodical, very cool. I loved it. And seeing the gameplay here, seeing how it works, I am very excited, because it reminds me so much of multiple different aspects of the earlier games, but it reminds me a lot of the first game, of Assassin's Creed 1 with, Altair. Unbelievable. There is a part that you get to in Assassin's Creed Mirage where, or in the gameplay walkthrough, where Basim drops down into this, there's an area, he's running on the rooftops, and he's running away from the guards. And then there is an area that's open, a building that you get to that's open at the top, and he just jumps in. And that is basically like an HQ for all of the assassins in the area. They come there to, again, escape from the guards, but also to get more missions, to kind of plan their next move and what they need to do. And that is 100% just taken from Assassin's Creed 1. As soon as I saw it, I was like, holy crap, that's wild. When y'all were saying that you were going back to the roots, y'all were not playing. Y'all weren't playing around, because you legit are going back, all the way back. And that's just one aspect. I want to say the stealth portions of it are straight up from the Ezio trilogy. Like, I want to say that's when they added in that level of stealth where you have different tools at your disposal that you can use to get the upper hand on the enemy. Either get the upper hand to take them out, or get the upper hand and, confuse them so that you can take them out. One of the two. But either way, everything I saw of Assassin's Creed Mirage really solidifies that, yes, they understand what the division in the fan base of Assassin's Creed is. There's some people who like the RPG games, and then there's some people who want to go back, who, like the old formula of things. And I'm somewhere in the middle right now, right? I like the old formula. I also like the new formula. I feel like they went too far into the new formula, but I also feel like the old formula was getting a little stale when they, inevitably decided to change the direction of Assassin's Creed. So I understand the motive of changing it to an RPG. I don't understand the motive of going so far into it that you've made this now unrecognizable from an Assassin's Creed game. Like Origins, beautiful. Mwah, chef's kiss. It's fantastic. Yes, it was a longer story, but it all felt worth it. It didn't feel bloated. It felt like everything was purposeful. The rest of the games did not feel like that. Oh, and obviously Odyssey, Valhalla. But that was Assassin's Creed Mirage. Let's move over to Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora. So, we've known that this game is coming out, right? We've heard this, we've heard rumors, confirmations, all of that jazz about this game. But it's finally here. We're finally going to be seeing it. It's finally going to be releasing this year on December 7th. And I am very excited. Now, number one, I'm excited that they decided to go in this route and make it a first-person game. The reason I like that, though, is because it really is going to make us feel like we are one of the Na'vi, right? Like we are one of these creatures, and like we're a part of the culture there, right? Of how they live their lives. Like, you know, when they're bonding with these different animals that are there, we're going to feel like we, the player, are bonding with them because it's in first person. It's the same way, or the same reason that CDPR said that they made the Cyberpunk 2077 first person, right? Everybody had a huge backlash when we found out that it was a first person game because, well, we only knew them to make third person games with The Witcher. And now they're making this first person game. They're like, why? And we're like, well, we feel like it would immerse the player more if it was in first person. Like they would actually feel like they can embody and the experiences that the character is going to go on. And that's what I feel like we're doing with Avatar as well, because you are playing as a character. Well, I believe you're playing as a legit character. Like you're not going to be creating a character here. You're playing as one of the Na'vi. And the premise is the humans come to Pandora and they've taken these Na'vi children from their homes and they are raising them based on human technology, trying to teach them the human way of life, so then that way they can inevitably turn on their people and fight for the humans. That was the whole goal. Well, apparently, there is some war that was breaking out, either war or rebel insurgents were trying to take out the humans, probably working with, probably the Na'vi rebel insurgents. I don't know. But they come in, humans are like, hey, we gotta bounce. We can't be here anymore. Kill all the Na'vi children. Kill them all. Kill all the test subjects. And, you know, lucky for the test subjects, and not so lucky for these humans, the teacher that they've kept here to, you know, try to show these children the way of the human race was a Na'vi. And she was like, oh, no, I'm not going to kill these children. She put them all in a cryogenic sleep. And they all got up 15 years later. Or at least your character gets up 15 years later. So she then gets back gets indoctrinated into her people again. And it's a really cool premise to jump off of with this story, you know? And I can't wait because, again, it's been years since I saw Avatar, right? And obviously we had Avatar 2 just launched. I have not seen it yet. It is what it is. But I am excited to see it. I just wasn't super. I'm like, look, James, Mr. Cameron, you're a little late to the party at this point, my friend. You told me that we were going to be getting another one, a sequel to this, for the better half of 15 years now. I'm sorry, bud. I'm not that interested in it anymore. But I am interested in this game. All right, guys. Here it is. The game that we've all been waiting to talk about. I know you have been waiting with bated breath to see, because I've been hinting at it. What is this game? What is this game? Now, podcast listeners, not you YouTube guys over there, but podcast listeners know what this game is, because I said it at the top of the show. But for YouTube over here, Star Wars Outlaws, baby. Where to begin? Where to begin? So, first of all, we've got a female protagonist. Love to see it. I think it's fantastic. Her name is Kay. I don't know what her last name is. I forgot what the last name was immediately. I don't even remember what her companion's name is, to be honest with you. But at least I remember the first name. First name is Kay. And Kay finds herself, you know, this game takes place between Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. So it's right in that period where the rebels are starting to get some traction, right? And they're starting to really figure out how they're going to take down the Empire. And the Empire is getting scared. This is a perfect time, or creates a perfect opportunity for syndicates, for crime syndicates to come and revel on the chaos that's happening above, right? And Kay finds herself as, you know, a part of these people. Now, she's not a part of any syndicate in general, but she is kind of like a smuggler in a sense. Think of her like a female Han Solo in a sense. Now, we're not going to say she's Han Solo because Han Solo became a general and all that stuff. He worked for the rebels. He is quote unquote a hero of Star Wars, right? In Star Wars canon and lore, whatever. But I'm not going to go as far as to say she is on the same pedestal as Han. But she's on the pedestal of Han Solo from where we saw him in Solo. You get what I'm saying? Okay. Anyway, I had to let it sit there for a second because, you know, not many people know or have seen Solo or even like Solo. Who doesn't like Solo? It's got Childish Gambino. Come on. Anyway, so this game, as, you know, she sees, or as she's getting through this world and she's trying to navigate and figure out, you know, how she's going to survive in a world that is being overrun by syndicates, being taken over by the Empire, while we're also having a war breakout, a civil war. Where does her life fit into this? So she's doing a bunch of odd jobs and unfortunately gets, as the story always goes, gets involved with the wrong people and she gets a bounty put on her, a big bounty. And she becomes the Empire's most wanted. And then she is on the run. So there are multiple things that we have here. So we did see some gameplay, but we're going to first touch on the reveal trailer that was shown at the Xbox Showcase. The gameplay trailer came at the Ubisoft Showcase, but the Xbox Showcase showed us there's a lot of shows that was just said there. I don't know if anybody heard that, but they were there and they were plentiful. Anyway, at that showcase, they were able to let us know kind of what else is going to be there. And there may have been a character that was hinted at. Because, and I want to say, Galen? I want to say that's what she said, either Galen Merrick? I want to say it was Galen. But either way, last name is Merrick. This character, if it is who she said, and I want to say it's Galen. But again, my memory is all fuzzy. It is what it is. It is what it is. Don't at me. Anyway, if it is Galen, now I'm thinking it's not, because I'm thinking of Galen Urso, and I'm like, maybe that's where I'm getting Galen from. My mind just don't want to work with me, man. Anyway, my point is, there's a character that is said in, like, by name in the trailer. And as soon as she said it, I was like, now hang on a second. I know that name. So then I go and I search the name. And Merrick, again, is the last name for this character. That pops up. I go and check it out. I'm like, all right, let's see what it is. Do you know who this character could potentially be? If it is the same character who she was talking to in this ship, and who is more than likely a prevalent and a big role in this game, is none other than Starkiller from Jedi the Force Unleashed. Are you out of your freaking mind? That first mind blown. First thing to make my mind just immediately blow up. Right there, okay? Now we fast forward to Ubisoft's showcase. And at the end, when they show off the game, right? So we see her, you know, she's in this environment. She's sneaking around. She's got a companion on her. And you can command the companion to go do different things. Kind of like you can command BD1 to go do things. But this is a little different, as you have different paths that it can go on, right? And this is not a droid. This is a living organism. It's kind of, for all intents and purposes, it's a dog, right? Okay, I don't know what the species is, but it's a dog. Let's think of it like that. And it will literally, it can turn switches on, it can distract enemies, or it can attack enemies for you. Then you see, so as you see that, there are two different things on your on the reticle, on the UI. You have that, which you have an R1, and then an image of your companion. That will command him to do whatever you need to do. Then you have another image that is for, that just has your weapon on it, your blaster. And I was wondering, okay, well, what does that mean? Because it's L1. I'm like, are you really shooting with L1? I feel like that's kind of, intrusive. Like, we shoot with the triggers, guys. Like, come on. Like, I understand Star Wars, but we need to get with it. I'm an idiot because that's not what it's for. So you hold L1 and you can change between 3 different shoot styles. So you can do a focus shot, you can do a just regular blasters, or you can do, I believe it's, stun shots. Fantastic. Because, again, we know all of these people in Star Wars, at least the Imperial soldiers, they always say, set your blasters to stun, or set your blasters to, or set, I don't even know what they would call it, just the regular blaster fire. But either way, they specify if they're going to set them to stun or set them to blaster fire. And they go from that way. So the fact that you can do it in this game, awesome, fantastic. I love seeing that. Then the combat itself, the actual gunfire, or blaster fire, if you will, is so good. It's so snappy. It felt unbelievable. I was like, just keep it now. Just keep it now. So the last thing that they showed off, the last thing, was Kay getting in her ship. Oh, no, I'm sorry. She gets on a speeder bike and starts driving across the landscape of this world that she's on. And you start to see it just expand out in front of you, and you're like, this is an open world. This is an open world Star Wars game. And then she finally gets to, I think she was trying to get to like some little outpost. And yes, so she's trying to get to the outpost. That's when she gets involved with the wrong people, and she gets the bounty on her. She runs to her ship, and as she runs to her ship, we see a cutscene. Right? The ship takes off, cutscene, as it's taking off. I'm like, all right, that makes sense. We'll have a cutscene to get us into space, because I think I already saw some space combat at least. So I was like, we'll have a cutscene to get us into space like normal, and then we will be in space, and then we can fly around and do whatever. We'll have a cutscene when we hyperdrive, all that good stuff. You know, the normal cutscenes and stuff. That is not the case, guys. Not the case at all. There is a small cutscene, and I now realize there is just a cutscene for the landing and the taking off, because they don't want you to have to worry about landing or taking off. But as soon as you take off, and now you are in control of that. And you see the ship flying through the flying through the clouds, and then you see the reticle pop up, and that's how you know you're controlling it. And you're just flying through the clouds, and then finally it breaks. You start to see black, and then you see all of the ships that are just out in the atmosphere, or outside of the atmosphere of this planet, just sitting above. And not only that, I'm looking at all of this, and she starts moving, right? So you're automatically, as soon as you're there, she starts moving around, seeing where she can go, seeing all the different, ship fights that are going on, or ship battles. And I look down on the bottom left corner of the screen, and it says, hit left for hyperdrive. You can control this ship completely. You can take off from a planet, hit hyperdrive, get into this new system, and then land on a planet, all in real time. At least that's what it looks like in this freaking gameplay trailer that they showed off. And if I'm wrong, I'm going to be very sad. I'm going to be unbelievably sad, because I have always wanted this. This is the one thing that has been lacking in every Star Wars game that I've played, you know? Even the older games. So like, the Battlefront games. There have been some Battlefront games that did say, no, you can land on the planet. It's not really landing though. It's similar to this, where you can fly down, but it's very soon after you fly down that the cutscene happens, and then you just land. This is no, you legit are flying into the atmosphere and probably getting surface level to where you can see the ground on this planet, and then there's going to be a cutscene. At least that's how it kind of looked from the takeoff. We didn't see a cutscene for landing, so I'm not 100% sure what you would actually see when we're getting to land. But if that's the case, if we could at least just see the land below us before we get to the cutscene, that's all I need. That's all I need. And honestly, you don't even need to give me that. Just let me fly a little bit out of the atmosphere and fly back in on a PS5. Sold. I cannot wait. Cannot wait for Star Wars Outlaws. And I'm telling you this right now, I am probably more excited for Star Wars Outlaws than I was for Jedi Survivor. Only reason why is because this is something new, and this is something fresh, and this is not including any Jedi, any Sith, at least from what was discussed right now. I have not seen any, and it seems like we are only focusing on the underground outlaws, you know, obviously it's the name of the game, but the underground, kind of the criminal underworld of Star Wars. And I cannot wait. cannot wait because we've only seen a little bit of that, just a little bit. And now we're able to actually have a game that is completely centered around the underground of Star Wars. And I'm just tickled pink. I'm just tickled pink, guys. I'm like, my heart is racing right now. Let me feel it. Yep, it's racing. It's racing right now. But let me tell you this, guys. That's all I got for you tonight. That's all I got for episode 56 of the JMR podcast. I appreciate you guys for hanging out with me, listening to me talk about games, as I always do each and every week. But these showcases were unbelievable. I loved both of them to pieces. If I had to rate them between which one I liked most and which one I liked the least, I would probably go on a limb and say Xbox. I would say I probably liked Xbox a little bit more than I liked the Ubisoft one. However, the Ubisoft one gets real close because of that gameplay for Star Wars Outlaws. Just because of that. And honestly, Avatar Frontiers as well. I did like seeing that one and Assassin's Creed Mirage. But that Star Wars Outlaws is the one that really kind of pushed it all, like almost beat that Xbox showcase. Almost. But the fact that we still even got to see Star Wars Outlaws at the Xbox showcase is why I'm like, nah, Xbox takes it. Xbox takes it for me. But I may be giving you guys some thoughts on the Summer Games Fest, but it might be on YouTube. So YouTube kids, you might see that. I don't think I'm going to be doing a podcast episode about Summer Games Fest. I think we're just too far gone past that right now. I wanted to talk about Xbox and Ubisoft first specifically, so wanted to get that one out for sure. But guys, again, that's all I've got for you, and I will leave you on this. You know, not everybody knows that they are one with the Force. And it's my job as the Jedi Master at the Jedi Gaming Academy, where you can find the video portion of this episode, to let you know that the Force is one with all. The Force is inside of you always. If you want, you can see it. And it only takes one opportunity to turn that Force into a force for good. May the Force be with you always.